Hello everyone, welcome back to Magic Money Logic, the channel where we make money and economic topics super easy to understand. I am Shivam Chindhote and today we are going to talk about a very important topic, and that is gross domestic product, which we also known as the GDP. Guys, you might have heard news like India GDP has grown by 7% or this country GDP is falling, but what exactly is GDP? Why is it so important? And how does it affect you and me in our daily life? Let's make it super easy to understand. So, without wasting your important time, let's start with the simple basic question. What is GDP? GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product, the total value of all goods and services produced within a country in a specific time period, usually a year. In simple words, we can say GDP show how big and how healthy a country's economy is. For example, when factories make cars, farmers grow crops, shops sell products, or teachers take online classes, all of that adds to GDP. So basically, GDP is equal to the total production of all goods plus total services provided in a country. Now, next question is why GDP is so important. GDP helps us know how well a country is doing financially. If GDP is growing, it means people are earning more, businesses are doing well, jobs are increasing, and the most important thing is government is collecting more taxes and can spend more on a public welfare. But if GDP is falling, it means factories are producing less, unemployment may rise, people are spending less money. So yes, we can say GDP is like the health report of a country's economy. Now, move to the next part. Types of GDP. Basically, three major types of GDP. Nominal GDP, real GDP, and the per capita GDP. Now, let's discuss one by one. First is nominal GDP. This is the actual money value of all goods and services produced. Measure at a current market prices. For example, if 1 kg of rice costs 50 rupees or $50 in this year and the total rice produced 100 kg, the value is 5,000, right? But the next year the price costs 60 rupees or dollar per kg, the value becomes 6,000, even if the quantity is the same. So nominal GDP includes inflation, or we can say price rise. Second type is real GDP. Real GDP removes the effect of inflation. It shows the real growth in production. So even if prices change, real GDP focuses only on the increases in goods and services. That's why economists prefer to use real GDP to understand true economic growth. Third one is per capita GDP. This means GDP divided by the total population. It tells us the average income of a person in the country. For example, if India GDP is 300 trillion and the population is 1.4 billion, then per capita GDP is equal to 300 trillion divided by 1.4 billion is equal to about 2.1 lakh per person. So even if total GDP is high, if the population is too large, individual income can still be low. Now, let's see how experts actually calculate GDP. There are three main methods, but the most common and important one is the expenditure method. Guys, look at this formula. GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus in bracket X minus M bracket close. Let's break this down in simple terms. C stands for consumption, or we can say spending by people. This is the biggest part, around 60 to 70% of GDP in the most countries. It includes everything people buy, from food and clothes to phones and services like haircut or Netflix subscription. When people spend more, it means they are confident and the economy grows. Now, next is I. I stand for investment, or we can say spending by businesses. This is when businesses spend money to expand, buying new machines, building factories, or increasing inventory. It's not about you buying shares. It's about companies investing to grow. Higher businesses investments means better future growth. Next is G. G stands for government spending. This includes all the money the government spent on roads, schools, defense, hospitals, and so on. But it does not include money given as pensions or subsidies, because those don't create new goods or services. Now, X minus M. It stands for net exports. X means exports, goods we sell to other countries, and M means imports, goods we buy from other countries. Guys, we subtract imports because they are already counted in a consumption, but not made inside the country. So the final GDP formula is GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus in bracket X minus M bracket close. Now move to methods. Three methods. First one is production method. In this methods add up the value of everything produced in a country. Second is income method. In this methods adds up all the income earned by people like salaries, rents, profit, etc. etc. Third is expenditure method. This is most important method. In this methods add up the all the money spent on goods and services. So GDP can be written like this. GDP is equal to consumption plus investment plus government spending plus in bracket export minus import, bracket close. Simple, right? It basically measures how much we produce, earn and spend as a nation. Guys, some factors that affects GDP. Several things can increase or decrease GDP. When government spends more on roads, schools, hospital, it means GDP increases. But when there is war, natural disaster or inflation, GDP can decrease. When unemployment increases, people spend less, GDP falls. So we can say GDP depends on how active the economy is. Guys, the limitation of GDPs. Now, here's the something very important. GDP is powerful, but it's not perfect. There are many things GDP doesn't show clearly. Let's look at few. Income inequality. GDP doesn't show how money is divided among people. Even if GDP grows fast, all the money could be going to a small rich group, and most people might not benefit. And second is non-market activities. If you cook at home, take care of your children, or volunteers work, it's valuable, but it's not counted in GDP because no money is exchanged. The shadow or black economy. Illegal or unrecorded cash transaction, like a small businesses that don't pay tax, aren't counted in GDP. In some countries, this can be a big part of real economical activity. Quality of life and environment. GDP doesn't measure happiness or pollution. For example, if a factory pollutes a river and the government spends money to clean it, both increase GDP, even though pollution harm the environment. So yes, GDP shows production and growth, but not the full picture of well-being or fairness. Let's take an example of India. India is the one of the fastest growing economies in the world. In 2024 to 2025, India's GDP was around 4.13 trillions, making it the fifth largest economy globally. Most of India's GDP comes from services sectors like IT, banking, tourism, industries like manufacturing, construction, agriculture like farming and dairy. When these sectors are grow, India's GDP has rise, and that means more jobs and better living standards for people. Now, you might be thinking, how does GDP affect my life? Well, a growing GDP means more job opportunities, higher salaries, better roads, schools, hospitals, more businesses and investment. But if GDP falls, people lose jobs, price rise, and savings reduce. So yes, GDP affects each one of us directly or indirectly. So friends, let's quickly recap. First, GDP means total value of all goods and services produced within a country. Number two, it shows the economical health of the nation. Number three, there are nominal, real and per capita GDP. Number four, a growing GDP means a growing country. That is today's video. If you learn something new, don't forget like, share and subscribe to Magic Money Logic, where we make money and economic topics simple and logical. See you in the next video. Till then, stay smart and stay logical. Thank you for watching.